Get ready, hold tight. It's
Hold on to your hats, boys.
Libos. Hello, good evening, and welcome to another episode of the Wednesday Week.
Just what the flipping Nora are you lot doing?
I'm still in there. I'm still right behind him.
It was just a very well thought out tactical plan by Danny.
I want go!
I can literally feel the steam coming out your ears.
So it's like a fun little post-game snack.
The Wednesday Week!
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the newest episode of the Wednesday Week. I think Happy New Year. Welcome to 2025, guys. You all right? All good? Ready for 2025 to be another roller coaster year in the life of a Sheffield Wednesday fan? John, how are we?
Yeah, good mate. Happy New Year, everybody. It's ended quite well. We're on target for a top 10 finish, aren't we? So
we are indeed. So you've heard John. I'm also joined by Stevie and Simon. So guys, are we all ready to rock and roll? Should we get straight into it?
Go for it.
Let's do it, boy.
Right.
I don't know why I've just called you boy, but let's do it.
Boy.
I'm younger than you.
Boy.
But,
Yeah, boy.
Let's go right into it. So, fresh over in our hangovers on New Year's Day, we made the trip to Hillsborough for the first game of 2025 and the first home game. Derby County, just down the road, come up to see us. How are we all feeling New Year's Day? Bit hungover, or all good? Fuzzy heads, you know.
It's a little bit tender, but you know, it's you have that whole we don't get a Boxing Day a game at home, so it's always nice to be able to wake up and not have to travel with a hangover to go and watch the football. So I was all right with it. Woke up early, got ready to rock and roll. Wanted to get down to Derby, felt confident going into it.
Yeah, mate. Quick one on you. Boxing Day games, prefer them away? Of course you do. Everyone prefers Boxing Day away.
I like them at home, but yeah, you guys get to the away games a lot more than I do. So
definitely away for me. It's brilliant. Love it. Right, so let's go. Derby. Let's get this lineup in, and we're here. Look at this. We've got. I've lost you there, guys. Something's happened there, but we're starting with Beadle, Iorfa, Bernard, Lowe, Johnson, Shalabar gets a start, Ingleson gets a start, Charles, Bannon, Gassama, and Ugbo. Yeah, we'll have to hide that. Something happened there. I don't know what happened there. Usually, I think. Simon, I'll start with you. Obviously, first look of that team. What was your thoughts when always in it when an hour before the start of the lineup comes out? It's always a discussion point, isn't it?
Yeah, unfortunately, I had COVID on over New Year, so I left it till very much last minute to go to the game. So I wasn't actually any idea of who the team was or anything because I felt like shit. But yeah, look,
you're so 2020, Simon.
I know. Yeah,
you'll be on mute by 8:15.
Yeah, you're wearing a mask. And, everybody's 2 meters away from me, which is good because I don't like people at the moment. So, what I was going to say, yeah, well, he had to make some changes in after the Preston game. So, from what we saw at Preston and the lack of the team turning up, etc., it was some changes that had to be made, certainly in midfield. I wasn't surprised about the guys that came into midfield, Ingleson in particular. He's got a good, he's a great carrier of the ball, and he's after his first game at the start of the season, he sort of went off the ball, but I think he's really coming back into it now. Is Fante, and he was an ideal choice there for legs in midfield. Obviously, it's not longer since we last played Derby, is it? So we should really have known what to expect, and that particular game we weren't particularly very good away at Derby. So no, I was in Danny we trust, and to be honest, he could play 11 grandmas and we'd still be happy, won't we?
I think that's the phrase that's been, especially on this podcast, being said quite a lot in it. In Danny we trust. I think we've got a whole lot of trust into him, or whoever he picks is is all right with us. So I think yeah, Stevie, let's go. Gassama. I was really impressed with Gassama's first half performance against, well, the whole virtually 80 minutes or whatever it was of his performance. I mean, he got us off to a start with he picked it up and gave the keeper a shot from just outside on the right-hand side, and keeper palmed it away for a corner. But it was only the 11th minute, I think it was, Bannon's goal. So I'll pick it up. Charles wins the... Charles, I'm sick. I'll tell you what, I'm not going to go off on one, but I'm sick of mentioning Charles's name on everything, on the group chat, on everything, because...
Dan, Ash, just keep quiet about that, because it might be that we're not mentioning his name in the next month. So,
yeah, I suppose
shush.
his name. or we'll be mentioning it, like crying into his Cocoa Pops and stuff.
Yeah,
like that,
yeah.
Yeah, Bannon's goal, Stevie. I've got it that Charles wins the header in the midfield. I've done some notes, but I haven't done notes for Dan, so they're just in plain English for me to understand. So Gassama chases after the ball in the right-hand side, doesn't he? Wins the foot race. And then he plays a lovely ball into Charles that seems like he comes from nowhere to hit the byline. Comes past, keeper palms it out, and the captain's there. What do you reckon, Stevie? Good goal. Good team goal.
Class. Yeah, I thought outstanding team goal, and it was nice to score first for once, because it's felt like we've been falling behind for a period of times, like a number of weeks now. But I thought Gassama, just as a sort of an overview, I thought Gassama has been outstanding for the last month or so. Excuse me. And I thought that was probably, the Derby game was probably as good as he's played. It's a difficult one, isn't it? Because I don't think they're blessed with a great deal of pace at the back. They're very, I'd say, formulaic, our Derby. So it's difficult to see whether or not Gassama was just particularly quick, or they had players that were a little bit slower. But I thought over the duration of the 90, I thought it was absolutely excellent. Goal itself, like you said, the pass that he plays into the byline, or that's played into the byline. Initially, you think it's been overhit; it's a bit too heavy, but it's been pulled back with and just hit a percentage zone that Bannon, and he's much maligned at times, but Bannon was just in the right place at the right time to slot it home, and it was a perfect start.
Yeah, I think it was something like, I think the keeper palmed it out, and it was about 7 yards out, and he's not going to miss, is it? Like, just on his left foot, just passes it into the open net. I mean, and that's it. Great start, though, isn't it? I mean, John, we've been, I've noticed, and a lot of people notice, our starts have been pretty good. Like the first 15, 20 minutes, we have started games really well. And this one was exactly the same. So Bannon, after 11 minutes, you're thinking, yeah, okay, settle it a little bit. But, excuse me, but we went again, didn't we? For the first half attacking performance, instead of sitting back on the one, because we went ahead for one, which is a strange one, isn't it? I mean, we've not been used to going ahead. So to go ahead at the start, I mean, for the team, it must have been a good boost.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we came out of the traps flying, didn't we? Like a ground at Ollerton. We were absolutely flying, and we got the bit between his teeth, and it were almost reminiscent of like Peterborough, wasn't it? Second leg, when we knew we just came at them, and we just like bang, bang, bang. We're just coming at you like in waves after waves of attack, and like you say, Gassama, he's starting to iron out a few kinks in his game now, isn't he? And it's starting to bear fruit. He'll still do the odd frustrating thing that's what you get with him being a young player. But yeah, we came out of the traps really well, and I think we are so much of a different side when we get that first goal. We are sort of built that way, aren't we? I mean, credits where it's due. We have come back in games, and we've got most points from losing position, so we've got that resilience into his game as well now. But I do find that when we get that first goal, we do seem to control games mostly, and we are kind of built that way. And yeah, to come out of the traps and get that early goal just settled everybody down and kind of set the tone for that first half, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I've looked back to the highlights. We've all probably looked back to the highlights, and there was only one chance in the first half of any note for Derby, Simon. and that was it was Jerry Yates, I think, who couldn't hit a barn door with a shovel. Is it from 3 yards?
I think the only thing I'd sort of bring up in the first half was we were flying, and I thought cricket score here. And then we had, and I've not seen this for a while at Hillsborough. Then at 20 minutes or 22 minutes, their goalkeeper, who was absolutely no near a player, all of a sudden went down injured in the box. Yeah. Of which then prompted the medical staff to go on, and then which prompted the entire Derby team to go across to their dugout, and they changed it. Then they changed it. I mean, I don't know what the statistics are, but Derby had a succession of corners towards the end of the first half. But it was really frustrating, and it was brought up after the game as well, I think by Radio Sheffield and a few others, and Danny alluded to it as well, as this game spoiling, I think it was, because it literally took the impetus out of our play. And from about 20-25 minutes onwards, it evened it out a little bit, and Derby came into it. And like I say, I'd like to know how many corners there were in that last 10 minutes, but they were peppering our box. But I think they hit the post at one point, but they just couldn't score, luckily. But yeah, and we defended for a change at that point resolutely up until half time. But it's really starting to grind my gears, this keeper going down. I think that something needs to be done about it to stop that, because obviously the keeper then can't go off the pitch, can he? He stays on, so there's nothing to punish him for doing that.
It's effectively a tactical timeout, isn't it? They're making it like the NBA, and then they're all running over to get a word with the manager. To me, that all started with COVID, didn't it? When they were going for drinks breaks and stuff, and they've kind of like softly carried it on, like, oh, let's just run over and have a tactical team talk with the manager.
I get that. I get that it's a break, and that's always happened, that they've gone over for water and stuff. But it's more prevalent that you see the manager and the coaches go to the touchline where they should be in the area, surely, the tactical area, and like say all other 10 players get in there and they have a bit of a tactical. What I think they should do is put the water bottles down the assistant, and the manager and the coaches have to sit on the bench while the players take up, because it is tactical. And I think lots of people on social media have messaged it. And what then they should do, if the keeper has just gone down, no trainer comes on, even if the trainer comes on, then they should have a nominated outfield player should go off for 30 seconds. Because then because if a defender goes off and the trainer comes on and he has to go off for 30 seconds, you're at a disadvantage for an injured player, aren't you?
Yeah.
But when a keeper does it tactically, this is for both sides. And luckily, I know it's rose tinted. I've not seen Beadle do it that often, if at all. But obviously,
he did it at Middlesbrough. Yeah, I've just killed you there, mate.
Look. We could have done anything at Middlesbrough. The amount of beer I drank, and this, do not drink. This is not an endorsement of drinking alcohol, kids. Don't do it. It's not big. It's not clever. And I certainly felt like that. But I blame Dan Fudge, so it's all right. But yeah, for me, what do you reckon, Stevie? What's your take on this newfangled timeout? Like Simon said, it is like you've just gone like that to. Is it basketball? They do that and they call it timeout.
Yeah, I think it's something that as it becomes, as you've said, it becomes more and more prevalent. We're going to get to a point where they're going to address it. I think there's lots of issues around timing, around stoppages, around injured players going off, and the whole 30. I think the 30-second play must go off for 30 seconds is an absolute farce, to be fair, because I think that was done with a viewpoint to having people not go down. In case they were, time wasting or they were feigning injury. But you will see that there are players that have got legitimate injuries. And I don't care what anybody says. I'm not being funny. You can look at a game of football, when somebody's hurt and when somebody's buying a little bit of time. And we both, like you just said, we all do it. We're very good at going down and slowing the game down. And we have been for the last 3-4 years. I can remember we'd slow the game down and down more. It happens. It does happen. I don't agree with the 30 seconds going off. I don't agree with goalkeepers going down so that they can buy a little bit of time. If this is something that people that have sort of legislating the game are going to allow to do, then stuff it. Let's just call it a timeout. Let's just call it a break and give everybody one, and then go from there. It killed Middlesbrough's momentum when we. Having said that, ironically, I kind of disagree with that. To be fair, but on reflection, because when we did it at Middlesbrough, we went from a 3 to a 4, and within 2 minutes of us doing it, we were 3-0 down. We did it at 2-0. And we ended up going down and conceding, and we conceded the third goal pretty much straight away. However, it does happen. It changed the momentum, and we were riding high. We were doing well. We were forcing the issue, if you like, against Derby until they changed it. And then there's no doubt about it. They got back into the game. It was a game plan that they altered. They became much more pragmatic in the way that they were playing. They set up, and it went to that whole, we're going to do as much as we can to earn set pieces, and we're just going to spend the next 20 minutes peppering our area. And it was just set piece after set piece after set piece. They were buying fouls, and all right, we were giving them the opportunity to lump the ball into the box. But at the same time, it's frustrating that it's allowed, we allow people to do it.
Yeah, it is. Well, we did not ride as luck, but we, like Simon said, we were resolute in our defending for the last 15 minutes of that half. Going into the second half, I'm going to go straight to it.
What happened? What happened? I don't know what you're talking about.
The boss is astringent for keeping to an hour, and we've got a lot to get through. We've got 2 games this week. We've got bits and pieces. Josh Windass, right. How fluky was that goal? I'm joking, I'm not.
What goal? I've not seen it.
Wrong podcast.
Yeah, well, that's it. That's the sound bit that I'm going to go and clip and put out and just say Ash has got it. So I made a little note here. So basically what I've got, crossing from the Derby right-hand side, cut out by Charles, onto Smith. Smith had just come on, hadn't he, at half time, and that little layoff to the middle of the park, and you think, Windas, he's going to pick it up, he's going to look to his right, he's going to just play it off, and we're going to build a bit. Simon, I mean, you're in the posh seats. You'll have got a cracking view of that.
Yes.
And that mine on the cop was an absolute stunning view of that goal.
Yeah, bet it was. Was.
What were we thinking? It was like, nah, he's not going to. He has. Oh, what are you doing? What are you doing? So just.
Oh my goodness! It bobbled. It bobbled a couple of times beforehand, and he looked up once and then just hit it. And I don't know. I thought it was going in all the way. I just, with Josh, he has that ability to score really spectacular goals or put it into row Z, doesn't it? And I think our sort of analysis of it is that for every 4 row Zs, he has 1 great goal. At Preston, he scored a great goal, but he had numerous shots over and wide, etc. And it was just a thing of beauty, wasn't it? Have you noticed recently that keepers do this, the way these keepers work now, this sweeper keeper, that they do spend a hell of a lot of time out of their area. And Beadle does exactly the same. And I noticed Millwall's keeper was doing the same on Saturday as well. And he just looked up, hit it, and it fell beautifully into that left-hand corner of the goal, didn't it? Just wondrous, beautiful, sex. It was wonderful. Sexy goal.
Back to Windass's goal and not your Christmas present, Simon. John, you were sitting in the cop with me. What was your view like of that tapping?
Well, at first it just looked like being a bit lazy there, anyway. Windass, that's not going to amount to much. Oh my God, it's in! It's like you just flew, didn't it? It was just like a missile. I was like, that's incredible. And I mean, if Kevin De Bruyne has done that, you're going to be hearing about it for weeks, aren't you? And we've seen a lot of stuff on YouTube, and some people have tried discrediting it, but that to score from there, the way he did that is just sensational. There's no other word for it. I mean, they're talking about it being the Puskas goal of the year already. You just don't see that every day, do you? I mean, we've seen some long range goals. You know, it seemed to start off with like Beckham did it back in the 90s, and we've had Jabi Alonso do one, I think, as well, and one or two others, but nothing as far out as that. That were ridiculous. I mean, I know the modern ball flies a lot further than the old style ball, but even so, that were incredible. Simply sensational. He'll never score a better goal, and it's one of the best goals I've ever seen live, without a doubt.
It's funny you should say that. He says his Blackburn goal's a better goal in an interview, but I know he says it as fans. So, Stephen, we've had sensational, we've had sexual from Simon and John. I need an S word to describe that Windas goal.
Sublime.
Oh, he's got sublime.
Fantastic.
How did it look in the semi-posh seats?
The semi. You know you're missing him.
I am after last week's bloody prices.
Yeah, not many.
What?
It was one of those. You know, every now and again you can see something and you think as soon as it's left his foot, that's it. And because it took so long to go in, I sat there and I've grabbed hold of. I was lucky enough to have both kids with me over Christmas because Olivia's gymnastics has been done. So after 5 years of her not coming, she's given it, and she's been my absolute shadow. Boom, here, and I just grabbed hold of her, and I've gone, and I could feel my hands digging into her shoulders, like, and it was only like 30 seconds after the kickoff again. My mate's wife came. She's turned around. She's gone. All I could hear was you, Stevie, going, no, all the way.
Whoa. This is your mate's wife saying, no, Stevie. No. Oh, no. All right. Okay. This is
recounting what I was saying as the ball was travelling. Disclaimer.
Okay.
Just on the goal itself, I thought it was one of those that if you look back, and Sky will do lots of compilations of goals that were scored from far out. Beckham's, Figueroa at Wigan, I think it is, Alonso's. There's a couple of others that they've shared. It bobbles. I think technically he's doing himself a bit of a disservice because it bobbles and he hits it on the bounce. But the other thing as well is it's running away from him. And for me, just, you know, Simon's a smart guy, and that's no disrespect to anybody else. Physically, if the ball is travelling away, you know, you don't get that reaction force, do you? So you've got to strike through the ball, and it was just so effortless. You know, the ball travelling away on the bobble is there's very little backlift. He's looked up, and it's all happened within the space of 2 seconds, and it's flown. And the moment he struck it, it was going in. And, you know, I'm not a massive one for this goal was excellent, that goal was excellent, you know, worldies and all this and the other. I'm very much more, because I didn't have that in my locker. I appreciate team goals more. So if we string together 7, 8, 9 passes and then stick one in the bottom corner, that's a good goal for me. But this one, hands down, best goal I've ever seen.
Stevie, you've played football at a semi-reasonable level as well, haven't you? Out of the four of us, obviously, but you have. So
I did all right.
There's a certain podcast that we've all seen. Not this one. It's one that only focuses on the second tier of football. So there's a hint for you. And one of their presenters has come out and said that this goal is what 90% of footballers. Now he obviously didn't say how far down the league or anything like that, I don't believe, but said is a goal that anybody could score. Now I don't believe that, and he got called out by a few Wednesday fans as well, and things, and a challenge was put to the guy to come to Hillsborough and recreate that. So, do you reckon it is a goal that 90% of football players who played at a reasonable level would have scored?
I don't think it's a goal that 90% of professional footballers can score. The mind park footballers from the league, and I genuinely mean that. You put anybody up. You look at the Sheffield Wednesday squad, who possibly could have that in their locker? Dominic Iorfa is a professional footballer. He ain't scoring from there, and that's no slight on Dominic Iorfa. You know, Liam Palmer, of course he could do it.
He could do his left foot
With his eyes
on his head.
He'd do it at Rabona, wouldn't he? You know?
Blindfold from Charlie Brown's outside over the cop.
You know, you can list players that have got attributes that are what make them decent footballers and enable them to play football at a reasonable level. I am absolutely 100% convinced that unless this boy can play and has played at some sort of standard and he knows something that we don't, and that would be the irony, wouldn't it, that I had trials at Chelsea once when I was 15 and I'm actually a decent footballer. If he's a park footballer, a pub footballer who's playing on a Saturday afternoon, not a chance. And he's saying that he's got mates and he's seen his mates do it, you know, on Sundays. That it doesn't happen. 90% and a couple of mates fluking it in. It may very well have been that one's been caught with the wind on the back of a wreck somewhere and has ended up in the top corner. But as people have talked about the conditions around it, there were 31,000 people there for that game. 31,000 people there. Like I've said, everything that was happening that conditioned it to be where it was. You've got a professional footballer centre-half chasing you down. You've got everything else that's going on around you, and you've seen a goalkeeper, and the goalkeeper is on thousands of pounds, and we can talk about his position and everything else. I'm not being funny. If somebody like this Justin guy or his mates pings that ball with the goalkeeper in it, he will move backwards and he will stop the ball.
Yeah.
The technique that was hit, he hit it with, meant that the goalkeeper didn't have a chance.
You can't replicate the situation that Windas was in. So even if the guy is stood still 62.5 yards out from that goal, that's how far away he was, right? He's not going to be able to replicate the fact that he was running, the ball was running away from him, it was bobbling. Windas had been on the pitch, 15, 20 minutes, so he's slightly out of breath. He's got a player coming towards him. He's got 31,000 people around him. He's got numerous plays. He's trying to make 3-4 decisions before he actually makes that one decision, of which he did, to do that. You know, that's impossible. It is dead easy for somebody on a podcast to say anybody could do that. A standing ball in the middle. You know, you watch the number of rugby players who do conversions in matches, in games. There's an infinite number of where that ball's going to be for a conversion, how many times they miss it rather than actually create the conversion. And that's a ball sat in a cup, not moving, with nobody bearing down on him taking his time and kicking it. It's exactly the same similar sort of thing. The guy's speaking out of his arse.
well, he has been called out on it, and there may be some movement on that. So hopefully we'll have a halftime challenge with a podcaster that is going to give it a go. So
I think the thing with them as well. Sorry.
I was just sorry to jump on again. I was just going to say one more thing, and it's not me sort of blowing my own trumpet. I got lucky a couple of years ago and ended up on the pitch at half time. And I can tell you now, there must have been 20,000 people there in a nothing game in a half-time challenge where all I've got to do is hit the target from a certain distance, you know, the 6 yard, 18 yard in the halfway line, the half-time challenge. I got called down, I got DM'd, and I got told, in terms of the conditions, this is what you have to do. I'm not being funny. You step down pitch side and you're going into it. And yeah, I get it. It's a little bit different because I'm a Wednesdayite, but it's a different kettle of fish when you're standing pitch side and you've got all these people watching you and you put the ball down. All of a sudden, that ball goes from being like that to like that. And you can just see all these people watching you. And I'm thinking, my God, you can feel the pressure. And that's a nothing kick at halftime that nobody's even watching and nobody cares about. This guy coming out saying, I'm going to be able to do that under whatever conditions is an absolute numpty.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I mean, when you look at that goals like that, and don't forget when you look at it as well, it doesn't like just beat the keeper, bounce a couple of times and roll in. It drops perfectly into the back of the net, doesn't it? It's a 9-iron shot, isn't it, onto a green at golf at the Masters or something. It's absolute perfection. And if it were that easy to do, you'd see goals like that every other month, every other week, whatever. And you don't. You typically only see them once every blue moon, to be honest, a goal like that. And that's why there's only a handful that we reference when we talk about goals like that.
Yeah. Well, we have talked about it, and we're going to go to a break. So as Dan says, some people are going to try and sell you some stuff, but after that, we're going to go from the sublime to the ridiculous. Well, we are back. So thank you very much for whatever those adverts were. I don't listen to the show, so I won't know. So like I said, sublime to the ridiculous. Jenny Gassama.
Oh.
Now, I love this goal. And like Stevie said about the technical, you pass it 7-8 times and slot it in the box. I just think this is all Gassama. This is pure speed, power, determination. This is a goal that from is he 21 now, Gassama? 20? I think this is a cracking goal. Simon, Gassama, I mean, we talked about it. We're 2-0 up. We're cruising. It was dream world, wasn't it? Dream world.
It was when he took the ball and flicked it over the defender and went past him. That first touch to flick it over the guy. In a way, I watched it back. I sort of missed it because I was still going Windas goal. But in a way, it's almost as good, if not better, than the Windas goal, because the way he takes it past the player, then runs onto it, then he's got the keeper coming out to him. His finish was superb underneath the keeper. He almost basically laid it with his heel into the back of the net. It was just a really, really superb goal made completely by himself. It was superb. It was great. And what got me was when he ran to celebrate, he almost took his shirt off. That was quite funny. He almost takes his shirt off, and then he goes, "Shit, I'll get booked for that," and then pulls it back down again. And then they do the Ethan. Yeah, is that what they did? Ethan.
Yeah.
I was a bit lost on that, so I'm old, so didn't. Yeah, there you go. The chill guy. That's it. The chill guy. Yeah.
Or I think we tweeted out when you stood. What is it? What did Dan put something about what you're going with the guys after in Pop World, something like that. Yeah. But yeah, it was
kebab orders.
That's it, kebab orders after Pop World. Yeah, that's about right. That is. Yeah, it was a fantastic goal. Fantastic goal.
It was class.
Just what it deserved, Stevie, after the game he'd had as well. I think it just culminated in that because for me, he was all over the place.
I've spoken about it for the last couple of weeks. He's just getting better and better, and you know the change of pace was reminiscent of, although it was the other side of the pitch. I'm still having nightmares of Dan James running away from Max Lowe when Leeds played against us, and it was exactly the same sort of context there. The only difference was he wasn't caught up and then chased down. He just left the guy for dead. And I don't know if that was because the guy was, as I said earlier on, is he a little bit slower? Is he, was he labouring and that made Jerry look faster? But if you look at it on the replays, it genuinely looks like he's running in, speed times 2, doesn't it? He's just gone. He's been, for me, the most improved player in the squad over the last 10, 15 games. I think since sort of October time, he's kicked on. And I've said it previously, I think him and Masaba have kind of gone like that. Which one is, going to step away from the other one? I think Gassama over the last month or so has just gone and leveled right up. And I'd be as bold as to sort of say, when we're talking about, assets and moving people on and maybe getting a bit of money for people like Piers Charles, I think Gassama's overtaken him now. If he keeps going the way he's going, we have got an absolutely saleable asset that could get us millions.
Yep.
And that's something we've been guilty of for a fair few years, isn't it? Not cashing, and we don't want to do it. No one wants to lose a gem or a rough diamond like that, do they? That is going to be. But if someone comes in with there's a term for it, but fuck you money, I think it is, or something daft like that. That you've got to, haven't you? It weren't all roses though, John. 3-0 up, bit cruising a little bit, and then the ball came in from the right hand side into. I'm nicking this phrase because I've just remembered it. The corridor of uncertainty, Stevie. And it was a bit of a Iorfa Beadle, whose is it? Is it mine to me to you type of thing? And then got Derby back into the game. It were a bit of a mistake by the defence there, weren't it? Do you lay it on? And we're not. So it's easy to. We are reviewing the game, and for all the positives we've just lamented about the players, we're going to go a bit negative as well. So because we can, I Iorfa, Beadle, where do you stand on that? Should Beadle give him a shout? Should Iorfa just hooked it into Rose at the Cop? What do you think?
Yeah, to be fair, it didn't look like we were going to get out of the game without conceding, did it? They had some earlier chances. Obviously, we mentioned Yates hitting the post, and they looked dangerous every time they put balls into our penalty box. And to me, it could be a little bit of a lack of communication there. But Iorfa's lost his man, hasn't he? He's lost his man, and he's managed to. And I think it was Yates again, wasn't it? And he's managed to, get himself a simple tap in, really. So you could argue there a bit of miscommunication between him and Beadle. One of them's got to take charge there, but I do think Iorfa did. If I'm going to proportion the blame a little bit on one over the other, I think he's lost his man, and that's a bit disappointing given Iorfa's pace. I thought he lost his man, but Stevie disagrees. But yeah, but yeah, they were going to get a goal. Thing, like I said, I didn't think we were going to come out of it without conceding. But at 3-1, you just hope we don't do a full collapse and like we did to Middlesbrough, and they come back and storm back and get something from the game. But look, fortunately they didn't.
You reckon it were all Beadle's fault then, Stevie? Is that what you?
I think there was more blame to be attributed to the goalkeeper than Iorfa. If I'm honest, I don't agree that it was. I'd have to go back and look again. It didn't strike me when I look back that it was Iorfa's man that he'd lost. Iorfa's obviously pulled across to defend a space because Bernard's gone out, and the defence had been pulled into a position. If Iorfa goes and stands with that man, and these defenders are beaten by the attacker, he's just going to go straight in. He's going to stick it in the bottom corner. So Iorfa's got to play the odds and go and get into that area. However, as a defender, and he's going to get loads because he's not been in fantastic form at the moment. As a defender, if you look at it, he stops. And I think the natural thing there, you want a goalkeeper to be big and vocal. As a goalkeeper, he's facing that way where everybody else is. Iorfa's facing that way where Beadle is. And Iorfa stops, and it's almost like he's expecting Beadle to take charge. And you can have that argument that if you're not sure, just get rid of it and all of that. But I don't think professional footballers tend to do that in 2025. For me personally, I think Beadle just comes and commands it, and it was almost like Iorfa was waiting for him. I would want my goalkeeper in that situation to be a little bit more commanding, give him a shout to get it away, come and dive on it himself, or just take charge of that situation. However, I don't think you could attribute 100% of the blame to either one of them. They're both culpable in part, but I think Beadle is probably the one that should shoulder a little bit more of the blame.
So yeah, Derby got one. And look, I'm conscious time here because we have got another game to review, and thing. So it's a because you guys just talk all the time. So what can I say? Masaba came on. He looked lively again. I know Steve, you said about the between Gassama and Masaba, and I do feel exact same. Masaba's just not having the game time to affect, and when he has, he's not being as fruitful as Gassama. But yeah, he got his goal, took it well, I thought as well. Another ball over the top by Charles. And yeah, you're right. I am going to miss saying that name. And it's first effort gets blocked by the keeper, but follows it in, and he slots it in for 4-1. And I know someone put a comment on, and I know Stevie had a bit of a tweet went out about Paul Warne saying that they were in it up to 2-1 when basically weren't even watching the game because they were never 2-1. It was it was 3-0, 3-1. But that's it. And then some more comical defending though, weren't it? Comical defending to finish 4-2. The ball bounced around in the area too many times. I think there were about 6 touches in our area before they even finished it. And yeah, it was a good finish by Adams. Really, it was a good finish, a volley, weren't it? From 12 yards, if that. So yeah, that was New Year's Day. Wrap that one up, Derby. So another 3 points. Obviously, keep in touch. Yeah, Matt Moores just put Masaba looked so chuffed when he celebrated the goal. He did. He sprinted to the other side of the pitch. Knee slid like Beadle wouldn't believe. And it was. You could see it on his face. He enjoyed that. 3 points to keep in touch. I can't believe I'm saying this. Keep in touch with the playoffs. Hey, keeping in touch with the playoffs. Hey, who would have thought that this time last year? So then Saturday comes. Thick and fast, these games, lads, aren't they? I mean, two back-to-back home games. Millwall comes in town. New manager, Alex Neil, and they were in a bit of a poor run of form, obviously, getting rid of their manager. Right. So, Stevie, I'll let you have this one. If you want to just have a look at the Millwall lineup. We started with Beadle, Valerie, Iortha, Bernard, Lowe, Charles, Bannon, Masaba, Gassama, Windas, Ugbo. So another start for Ugbo and a start from Masaba as well. So Stevie, what's your? Let's get into it. Millwall coming to town.
Yeah, we don't seem to have a fantastic record against them, do we? I think is it one win out of however many over the last few years. But again, I think one of the things that you'd say about the starting 11 is that he seems to be managing the squad that he's got, and I know that we've got a couple of injuries at the back, and I'd suggest that he probably want a couple more people back. You know, I'm not saying I'm not going to say that we're missing for Maywell, or Heckway's not been in there, and there's been calls for him to come back in. Even outside that starting back four, I'd wonder whether or not Otigbayo is at the level he's at the moment that we'd want him to be the person that we're calling upon. Obviously, he scored on Saturday. However, it doesn't look quite as assured as I'd want somebody coming into the team to be. Going forwards, he's rotating players in and out. That's absolutely fine. He's made no secret of the fact that he dragged Bannon against Derby on sort of 58 minutes, I think it was. I think I'd seen somewhere that was Bannon's call because he was feeling a little bit tired, and they communicated about it. He's getting Masaba in. He's managed Gassama over previous weeks. So the starting lineup is what it is, and I say week in week out, he can play what he wants and how he wants, and I'm not one person to question him. Those changes that came in, for me, absolutely fine. The only reservation I've got as a casual observer is that I'm not sure that Masaba and Gassama at the minute, and I'm not getting after Masaba. I'm genuinely not. I'm not sure that they are players that I would want to see on the pitch at the same time.
And I actually thought that was one game where they actually looked better together as well. I thought that was like giving them a bit of ray of hope, to be honest. But
they did. But I think, is it a case of now, and I go back to Stevie's point for the Derby game, is that Gassama is creeping ahead and ahead, whereas Masaba was, and playing them both together last season seemed to work. But now, do you think with other people that have come in, Danny Roll is thinking Gassama does offer more? And when he did play him, I thought they did all right against Millwall. Honestly, I know we're getting to all what happened and everything, but I wasn't as bad seeing them together starting than I have in previous games.
I think just on that point, I think we'd argue there that we're using the benefit of hindsight, aren't we? Because Masaba's done all right.
Stevie.
Masaba didn't offend me in any way, shape, or form. He's not quite at the level of certain other players. I'm not on the Ingleson train that everybody else was at the start of the season. Having said that, since the Middlesbrough game, since that wasn't Boxing Day, was it? Yeah, Boxing Day. I thought the last few games that Ingleson has played, he was outstanding when he came on against Middlesbrough, and did really well against Derby for me. So what's going on there? Why is he not in? And again, it goes back to that point. Has he been rotated out because we're managing minutes in players, and we've got a manager that now looks at it and goes, right, he's going to play in this game. He's going to play in this game. I'm setting up for this situation here, and I've looked at it, and I think it'd be better to have these players who are quick, rapid. And to be fair, it was the captain. Is it Leonard, the Millwall captain, was given an absolute torrid time. First half yellow card. Another one where he got talking to from the referee. He was very lucky.
He was there 18, wasn't he? Number 18. Yeah, Gassama had him in his pocket up until the point where, I mean, to be honest, when he got a talking to, if he'd not already got the yellow, that would have been a yellow as well. it was the referee made a decision there where I need to talk to him, because to be honest, if he wasn't on the yellow, I would have yelled him there. So it's like, hang on a minute, 2 yellows,
From where I was sat, it looked like he gave ref a bit of back chat.
Yeah,
when he was talking to him, I think the ref walked away and he went after the ref, but just walking, shouting something, and the ref turned around. I'm thinking, he's going to get a yellow card. He's going to go. Which he should have done. Letter of the law and all that. It didn't. It was.
And after that, I was actually thinking he's going to go soon, because Gassama was all over him, absolutely all over him, and then we just sent to stop pushing it down that wing, and not exposing him to what was their frailty, because he could have gone.
Yeah. Yeah, well, the first real meaningful chance, obviously, we scored from a bit of, I was going to say unlikely source, but it was his second goal in 3 games, wasn't it? Jan Valery from the right. Good pass, good work on the right-hand side as well, I've got to say. It was like one of those teams, and then Masaba got the assist. But, it was good finish, wasn't it, from the right back, right wing back, whatever you want to call it.
His first touch was awful. But then it just bounced absolutely perfectly for his left foot to hit it, because his first touch was diabolical. Although I think the ball was slightly behind him, and then when the ball was put in, and it was just such a bad touch. But then when it bounced, it just fell perfectly for him to leather it into the back of the net, didn't it? A great finish.
It were almost like Pub League Gaza Euro '96, weren't it? Where he flicks it one way and then flicks it another way.
So 1-0 up, pretty. For whenever you can say cruising, but I thought we looked comfortable. Right, then we'll get on. We've called this podcast Worldies and Woes, and we've obviously talked about the Worldie, and we're going to talk about one of the woes that is the other half of this podcast. One, did anyone think it were a penalty after the replay? If it was given against us, I would have been stood up in that cop, effing and jeffing at the ref for me, but I thought it was soft. But
I thought it was a penalty. I'll stick on the count. I thought it was a penalty. I think he's made I think he's made a meal of it, but you can see that there is a definite motion with the arm.
Yes,
and if you're going to go and motion with your arm against another player, I think the only reason that we're having this conversation or this discussion as to whether it is or it isn't is because there are too many inconsistencies with referees that are either too scared, advise not to, or won't give penalties in that situation.
Would it have been a foul anywhere else on the pitch?
Yeah, it would have.
Yeah, it would. Yeah, it would.
It's more likely. I think it's more likely to be given as a foul outside the area than it is a penalty. I think fouls are given more softly away from the penalty area than they are within the penalty area, and things that you see that happen in the area don't get given as penalties because they are softer, and referees aren't brave enough to go and do it. But foul's a foul. Jay Blogs there, I think it was a pen, but we probably had 60 better shots over the last year. I don't disagree. I genuinely don't disagree, but that doesn't mean that it wasn't a penalty.
No, we've in that drought of 18 months or whatever it was where we'd never got a penalty. We've seen so many more that should have been given in that time, but you're going to take it, aren't you? And since that drought, we've had 3 penalties since then. Scored one, missed 2.
Missed 2. Yeah. Well,
haven't we?
You've skipped the boat there a little bit, Simon. So obviously,
did we miss it? Sorry, I missed that.
No, you're all right. No, our what would be perceived to be our probably first choice penalty taker, Smith, on the bench or not on the field, shall I say? So Windas, the man in form, what is he? 5 in 5, 6 in 6, or no? He was 5 in 5.
5 in 5.
Gets a nod from the captain, doesn't he, Stevie?
Maybe.
So we're doing a little bit of research here. And Stevie's come up with this theory that if you zoom in on the video, you can see Bannon mouth Josh and then nods to him like nods to the penalty spot. So, which I'm taking from Stevie means that Josh is to blame because obviously the captain said, "Josh, it's your penalty," and Josh has gone, "Yeah, but Ugbo, he needs to score, so I'm going to let him have it." Is that right?
Oh my God. It was just total coincidence that I thought, or happenstance that I thought I'd have a look at the highlights. And if you go back and you have a look at it, I don't know who was on comms on Saturday. It wasn't John Pearson. Was it Hutchinson? I might be wrong. It sounded like it might have been. Anyway, as soon as no, sorry, forgive me, ignore that. As soon as a penalty's been awarded, it's soft, blah blah blah. But if you go back and have a look at the replay, I'm going to say it. There is an angle that is clear where Bannon shouts Josh Windass when Windass has got the ball and goes Josh. And if Ugbo is here, he goes like that, as if to say, give him the ball, give him the opportunity. At which point Windass has walked over, given him the ball. He's put it down. What has happened. However, from my point of view, the argument around whether or not there's been discussion as to was it an inside decision, was it the coaches? He's come out and said that on Saturday anti-rule. He said the players made the decision on the pitch, and they'll handle that internally, and that's absolutely fine. Well, it's not fine because we ended up missing the penalty.
No.
But if you look at the reaction afterwards as well, Bannon goes over to him and goes to lift him, and I think it's Gassama that goes with him. I think. Yeah, it is. Windass. Literally, they're there. Windass just walked straight past him.
Yeah, he went when the penalty was given. Josh ran over and picked the ball up. His sole intention was to take that penalty. He had nothing else in his mind other than I am taking that penalty. And then the decision was made, like you say, Steve, when they went up to the penalty box, to the spot. But Windass was taking that penalty up until that conversation was made.
So that's he's missed it. So the blame, obviously, on the player that's missed the penalty. But as your captain, do you really want? We won. I think someone said it in the comments earlier, and I didn't star it, but I should have done. There's no sentiment in football, is there? Do you know what I mean? He does need a goal. I think we've all said it. If one goes in off his arse and he scores and all that, he is it. But for me, there you go. Yeah, Craig said points over sentiment, all for giving it up, though, if you're 3 or 4-0 up, but not 1-0. He's going to come back and bite us in the backside. So, Craig, fantastic comment. Yeah.
I agree entirely with Craig there. That's what I said after the game. Yeah. Look, I understand the sentiment in it that this lad isn't firing, but his confidence is on its arse anyway, isn't it? So if we are 2-3-0 up, that 3 points is more important. And if we are 3-0 up, then let him have the penalty. But we weren't, and we are fragile at the back, and anything can happen with Sheffield Wednesday, aren't we? So but then again, Josh missed his last penalty, didn't they? So hey ho.
Yeah, well, there is that. But John, just on you can have the last thing on this. I obviously till Stevie highlighted this little clip and everything, and put a real microscope on something that probably no one ever saw anyway.
The boss is on.
It's all Dan's on. It's all well and good, everyone helping Ugbo up, but the Leeds players are mad at their goalie for effing it up. It's the difference winning mentality. Oof, bloody hell. Right. Cheers for that, Daniel's son. But John,
if he's watching, talk quick. We've got 6 minutes left.
And we've got 3 more goals. We've got any other business. We've got all sorts. So he's not going to edit tonight. It's going to be me in it anyway. So, John, last thing on the penalty. If that, obviously, what Stevie's highlighted, that the captain has gone, look, give it to another player, then obviously I'm not one for that. I think our captain and sentiment, I think the captain should stick to what the manager's instructions are, or the pre-game instructions of Windass is the taker. It is though, isn't it, Steve? That's what you want your captain to lead on the pitch, and he's not led to the instructions given. Has it?
There's been plenty of people that have come out and been quite vocal about the fact that Bannon is, the authority in that changing room. He runs it. So he's got the respect of everybody else in there. And I've got no arguments with that whatsoever. And at the time, I've got no arguments with what he's done. And if Ugbo sticks it in, everything that we're talking about becomes a whole, Bannon gets revered because he's taken the opportunity to give somebody who's struggling, a goal. I agree with the sentiment that, let's secure the game before we go and do it. but we're only talking about it because Ugbo missed, and people will be hollering at the radio and having a pop and digging me out for saying this. But at what point do we need to give this man a better, and this is purely for balance, at what point do we need to give this man an opportunity, and what point is he going to get a better opportunity to get a goal? And, if that goal goes in, who's to say he doesn't go on and score 2, 3, 4 more? And the only other thing
totally agree. Totally agree.
The only other thing I'd say there to finish, sorry, Simon, and then I'll shut up. I'd seen something on socials. It might have been Beth from the women's supporters group. This is a man who scored the goals that kept us up last year, and if not for him, we'd be playing against League One teams. So it's all right hammering him, it's all right caning him, it's all right taking the piss, but the bottom line is we've outlaid a significant amount of money for this guy to come in, and at the time we thought it was great, and I don't necessarily think he's playing that bad. He's just lacking confidence, and eventually it's going to turn for him.
You know what? I was just about to say then, he actually had a really good game. I thought he had a really good game. Other than not scoring and missing the penalty, I thought he had a great game. And kudos to Danny as well, because the kid, when he walked off, took his shirt off, walked down the tunnel, looked heartbroken, and a number of players went up to him, and Danny went over to him, put his arm around him. And it could have been easy for any other manager to say, right, lads, we're going to bring Smith on. But he brought him back on in the second half. And also as well, his head hadn't gone down. He kept trying. And in a way, I wish he'd still been on the pitch for the equaliser, because that ball that Paul, I can't remember, was it Paul put it in, or was that the first one? Anyway, whatever it was it was a great goal, the sort of goal, yes, off to Bayo goal, the header across from Windas. That would be in the goal that he would have scored if he'd been on the pitch. So, look, I think he had a good game, missed a penalty. So I think someone's put will be all forgotten in a couple of games. So there we go. Move on.
Yeah. And on that note, yeah, we will. So, John, obviously cruising 1-0, should have been 2-0. And then the doubt starts creeping in down there. Millwall got a little bit into it, and I think he was number 39, Honeyman, I think he was.
Yeah.
He gets the equaliser, and it was, we were on top. We should have been 2-0. But obviously Millwall get back into it. They get the first goal, then they get the second goal on 83rd, something like that minute. What awful defending for both goals for me, I've got to say.
Yeah,
it's been a theme, in last, what is it, the Christmas period.
The first goal was Charles and Iorfa missing the man for the first goal, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Windas took an unlucky deflection over him and just let it just fell to him, didn't it? And both the lads just didn't even mark him, just let him go through him and score. So
I think we're just seeing a lot of panic still, aren't we, when it comes to set piece deliveries, corners, free kicks, even just general crosses into the box. We're still seeing a lot of panic and a lot of snatching at things, trying to clear his lines and stuff like that. I mean, that their first goal, well, their equaliser. I mean, the guy's hit it from the halfway line, slipped as he's hit it. It's come over into our back line, and somebody just flicked it on, and it fell for Honeyman, and he can't miss, really. I mean, it's just disappointing, and it's still a bit of an Achilles heel for us, isn't it? These I think one of the worst in the league at conceding on corners. And set pieces and things like that. We're still really struggling in that aspect, and it's ironic that for half of the season we've been saying we don't score enough, we're not ruthless enough, we're not good enough in the final third. I think over the last 6 or 7 games we've been the third top scorers in the league, and it's the other end of the pitch where we're struggling now. We're struggling to keep ball, to keep clean sheets. We're struggling on set pieces and crosses. So now we're thinking, do we need 2 centre halves in the transfer window? And and maybe the scoring issues are starting to resolve themselves, but we need to start getting a bit more solid at the back.
Yeah, I think it is something that's on the wish list, isn't it, for January? I mean, that wish list could be very, very small, and if you believe the manager's comments towards the owner and what's going to happen in January. But yeah, I totally agree, John. We do need help at the back, and obviously the Christmas period and those 2 goals have shown that, haven't they?
I Beadle's got to do better on the second goal.
Yes.
Oh, 100%. That were poor, that from Beadle.
I think
Yeah,
I think he'll be disappointed with that. I think as the ball's gone, and I only say that because every shot he's saved and faced at that sort of standard, that sort of area, he's managed to deal with, and he's been outstanding for us. You know, the podcast do the man of the matches, and he's got more man of the matches than anybody else this year. For me personally, I think he will be disappointed when he goes back and looks at that again.
Especially in the first half, he made two good saves in the first half.
Yeah.
I think one of them was straight at him, but it was quite close. He tipped it over. So, and it wasn't like he'd not done anything in the match, and he got caught cold, say. But he had opportunity to think, and I totally agree with you. Yeah, I think the second
Beadle's going to be worth at least 10 points to us this season. He'll save us a lot more than he'll cost us. But he's a young keeper. He's still going to make mistakes. That's what happens.
Yeah, totally agree. So Dominic Elfer limped off out of the game. Unfortunately, it looks like he's done something. I think the manager's looking at, how bad that will be. So Otegbeyo come on. I mean, we conceded in the 83rd, and we scored in the 85th. Not a bad goal for your first goal, that really. Not really a 20-year-old centre half type of finish, was it? Very composed at the back post.
It was a great finish, weren't it, for a centre back? Great finish, really good.
Composed. Didn't lose his head. Didn't do a Harry Maguire yesterday, did he? Who blazed it over the bar? But yeah, fantastic. And I mean, if you looked at it, first half, I thought we were dominant. We had chances, like we've said, and everything. They got into it. We dropped his arse and went 2-1 behind. And I think it's 14 points. Oh, Stevie's just put look at this. So we had 14 shots, stats, 2 on target, 2 goals. Clinical, I think they call that. Clinical. And Millwall, 14 shots, 6 on target. Possession-wise, 58-42 at home. It's not really seen that much, have we? So corners, 4-2 to Sheffield Wednesday. So
how many times did we hit the woodwork? I mean, Christ. In one set of play, we must have hit the woodwork 3 times.
Yeah, so we did. It was a bit hairy stuff, and I mean, towards the end, and I know what I was impressed with, not just the finish from the young lad, but on the replay, he seemed turned, doesn't he? And he says to everyone, "Come on, get back!" His mentality is like, "We're on the up. Yeah. We've scored. We know what we like. We know what we like in 90+ minutes, aren't we? We've done it a fair few times this season, scored, and I do like that. But yeah, Sharman's just said, I really like Otegbeyo. Hope we keep him around for a while. Yeah. We only signed him. Well, we signed him a year ago, didn't we? But a professional contract in the summer from Burnley. So it's not our youth. It's not come through our youth or anything. So it's a good find, isn't it? Good find. But yeah, disappointed with the 2-2 draw then, chaps. So let's just have a quick look at the table. Here we go. Current league standings. Look, top 10 Owls. So top 10 Wednesday on 37 points. We are only 3 points behind West Brom, who sit in the last playoff position of 6th. Obviously, we don't talk about the above us. We don't care about that, really, do we? So just a quick one. We're into the new year, 2025. John, are you happy on our current position? Are we above, roundabout, or below your early expectations?
We're right on point for me, mate, because I did say early doors when we were doing it that I'd stick with Danny and I'd go for the top 10 finish. We're currently sitting in 10th. I think Danny's absolutely working miracles, and I don't say that lightly. I do think he's absolutely working miracles with his squad. He can't wring any more out of this cloth than what he's doing. You know, he can't get any more out of the players than what he's doing. I think he's doing a brilliant job. And if you want any more, then it's over to the chairman, isn't it? Because we all know what we need to push on. You can see a little bit more quality if you want to get into that higher reaches of the league. And we'll not do it with this squad alone. We'll need help. But yeah, on point for me, doing brilliant. Love it.
Simon, same question to you.
16 points off safety. So
Well, that tells you where Simon's head's at.
no, mate, no, mate. It's an amazing compared to where we were last season. Obviously, Danny did a fantastic job. We're punching, in my opinion. I think we're actually above where I thought we'd finish. We're certainly punching. 3 points off playoffs. That's mental.
Yeah, Stevie.
It's the hope that kills you, isn't it?
Jesus, I thought you were going to be Mr. Oh well, I thought we were going to be seventh
not
at
at
this
all.
time.
It's I went in. I can remember doing previews for other podcasts. I think I did a Sunderland one at the start of the season. They asked where we'd finish, and I said anywhere between 6th and 8th would be great. And then over the course of the first few months of the season, I've kind of reassessed my feelings and have gone 12th, 14th, 15th would be acceptable based on where we are. You look at that now, and I know I've ended up going to town on a post that I put on social media this weekend that people have jumped on. All I said was, if you'd have taken it at the start of the season and said by this point we'd be where we were, people would bite their hands off. They would literally bite their hands off to be within 3 points of the playoffs on January the 4th, 5th, 6th, whatever it is. And that's I maintain that. I stand by it. But the head loss and the meltdown when things don't go our way, like Millwall, like the goals that we're conceding, like everything else, and then it's all exacerbated by the fact that there's the rumblings between the manager and the chairman, and things aren't right. And I don't think Rule's helped himself, and I'm as big a fan of Danny Rule as anybody else. I don't think he's helped himself on Saturday in terms of what he said about the chairman and the forum that's coming up. And I don't think we're going to have time to talk about that in any sort of detail tonight. But
we've got next week. We've got next week before the forums.
Yeah. He's effectively called him out. He's effectively called it all out. But to bring it back to, am I happy? We're 3 points off playoffs. Should we be further up the league based on performances and with hindsight and retrospect? Absolutely. We should have won on Saturday. There are games that we've played that we've lost where we should have got points. There are games that we've played. I maintain we should have beat Preston. If not for the penalty, we'd have won against Preston. With momentum, and if the wind was blowing in a different direction, we'd have got a 4th goal against Middlesbrough. And then all of a sudden you're talking about 2, 3, 4 more points. And where does that sit us? And we've seen some abject performances and we've seen some collapses. Millwall wasn't great. Sunderland wasn't great. It hurt losing against United. We've lost to some poor sides this year, teams that we've outplayed. So when you look at it like that, we should be further up. But at this stage, am I happy being 3 points off the playoffs? You're fucking right, I am.
I think it's 14 points from losing positions now that we've secured with a point against Millwall.
I think very quickly though, it's just nice to have a feeling of going to games, and we've got 37 points on the board. We had about 4 last season at this stage, didn't we? It's just nice to be going to games and thinking we're safe under this guy. We ain't getting dragged into any of that crap anymore. Worrying about we need other teams to drop points and us win so we can get ourselves out of the relegation. It's just a nice feeling in it to be going to games and thinking we've got chance against anyone under this manager. And I just like that feeling, and we've just got to embrace that and hope that it gets, rewarded, and we'll see.
You're right, John. We do. Well, we flipped on its head a bit, hasn't it? I mean, from last season to this season, people are looking at the playoffs and saying, yeah, we should be there. And like what Stevie said, there's points that we have lost. Luton away is the standout for me. Luton away was horrendous. We should have been. And this is Luton, who just not long before got relegated from the Premier League. And we've gone there and turned them over and come out with no points. But then you could argue Derby away. Maybe we got the 3 points there when we probably only deserved a draw. But it's great, isn't it? Stevie mentioned the fans forum. So tickets went on sale last week, and like when all Wednesdays do, they sell out, don't they, when it's away? So all the tickets are gone for that. So if you go in, enjoy yourself. Stupidly, I'm going. Me and Stevie are going from the podcast. I was there last time for 6.5 hours of actual boredom. But I'm going.
I will not be going 6.5 hours, mate.
So.
School night, innit?
I just feel it's badly timed. It is the wrong time to do it. I don't know who was advising to do it this time. It's ridiculous.
the geezer's got some bollocks. He, for all you can say, and all the things that people have said about him, and the groups on Twitter and some of the followers and stuff like that have been very vocal about how he runs the club. He's got some balls to middle of a transfer window to stand up in front of. Well, he won't stand up and answer the questions that no doubt he's going to come his way, but it's just not the forum to do it because I've experienced it. So
it's not the time. It's not the time to do it. Do it in March, something like that. Not in the middle of the transfer window. Yeah, it's just ridiculous. The timing. Whenever he wants to do it, it's just the timing. At this particular time, it's wrong. Absolutely wrong.
Any time for a fans forum with.
Let's be honest. It'll be more filtered than a Tinder profile, won't it? To be honest, the questions will be very much handpicked, won't they?
No, I don't think they can because I just remember that they're just like you put your hand up, and if you want to ask a question, you ask the question. I don't think there's no pre-questions or anything like that. So obviously if Stevie wants to, I don't know, what did you moan about the week? Chicken and chips or something on the south. There you are, Stevie. Stand up and say I don't get my chicken and chips.
Oh, it'll be Liam. He'll say something about Liam Palmer, and then Depson will hear it wrongly, and he'll start going on a monologue about Carlton Palmer or something. Yeah, it'll all go. And 3 days later, you'll all still be sat there with cobwebs on you. And
jokes aside, I'm curious. I know there won't be any sort of groundbreaking revelations made or anything like that because you're never going to get it in a forum like that. Unless he's going to come out and do something absolutely insane, like go, right, this is a fans forum, and these are the new investors that are coming in, and I've just sold the club for £200 million, which we know is not going to happen. However, there's going to be some fire and some antagonising from Danny this weekend and the comments that he's made. I'm curious to see how Chansiri responds to that on the night, if he does at all.
He will respond to it, but it'll take him 28 minutes, and then he won't even answer it. He'll go around the thing. It's just so. I think people have said about a translator. Obviously, English is not his first language, second language. No. They've said about a translator, so I don't know if that because he does take things different, and so it's just going to be a thing in it. But guys. Stevie, you've got on any other business, I believe, because Dan's on and he's here. And I'm surprised he hasn't mentioned about the time. So,
has he texted you?
I'm on plane mode, so I won't know.
Yeah, we have this weekend. I'm just going to whack it up there. We are about to launch Last Man Standing 5. It's going to be in play from Friday, the 17th of January. If this is something that you've missed because you've been sleeping under a rock or you've got Last Man Standing muted or anything like that on any of your social media, keep an eye out for the pinned post on our Twitter, our X. It gives you all the details that you need there. As I said, for anybody that's not aware, 70% of the community initiative, 70% of the money that comes in goes to the winner, with 30% going to the community initiative. The last round that we played was bought back in because people had a shocker, and I think the prize money ended up being just over £600. So it is worthwhile in terms of a little bit of sort of post-Christmas funding, if you like. Please, jokes aside, don't jump on if you can't afford to do it. Say this every time we promote it. However, what we have done as part of this is we've managed to grow a tidy little community of like-minded Wednesdayites that jump on a group chat and talk absolute nonsense throughout the games. They share their experiences. There's lots of other things that are going on in there. Mate of mine, Si Speakeasy, jumped on. He's getting involved with some bits, and there are other people that are using it as a bit of a safe space as well, to talk about how they're feeling and how they're getting on. So you get all sorts. You're not obliged to be involved in that. It's a community, as we've said, that's got different rooms and areas that you can go into. But that alone, if not for the opportunity of winning the prize, and it's not me saying come and pay to get involved with us at all, but it's a nice little community that we've managed to grow there.
Yeah, cheers, Stevie. Yeah, you'll see it on our social media. We'll be advertising it much more. So thank you very much, guys. John, It's good. John's
Extremely quickly, Sean Fazea has also signed a new contract with us, keeping him to 2028 apparently. So obviously we've got high hopes for him as well. So it's nice to see youth getting rewarded.
Yeah. I'll save that for another pod, I think. My thoughts on that. Right, everyone, thank you very much for joining me. I've been Ash, your host. John, Stevie, Simon. This has been the Wednesday week. Thank you very much. And if you could do us a real good favour, I know I looked on the analytics that we get shown by YouTube, and there's about 50% of people who watch this on YouTube aren't subscribers. So if you're listening or watching, can you please give it a click, the little thingy, all this rubbish at the bottom.
On all the socials.
I wasn't going to go there, Simon, because I thought, New Year and all that, we'll leave all that in the past because someone else will say something stupid and we'll latch onto and give Dan all the things.
Close your eyes and mention them.
I'm 54, mate. I can't even remember my name. First day back at work and all that.
Well, that's been Simon Hill from the Wednesday week. That's us. Thank you very much, everyone. Like I say, have a great first week back in week if it is, and look out for other podcasts coming up. So thank you very much. Bye.
Every week, live from 8 p.m. It's the Wednesday week, bringing you football analysis.
He came in. I think he scored a goal.
Bringing you banter.
Yeah.
Bringing you responsible life hacks.
Met you wonderful souls at 10 a.m. for some shots.
The Wednesday week. 1, 2, 3, 4 live. Available on all social medias.
Obviously, this goes out on YouTube and as well as all the other social media out there for podcasts, etc.
The Wednesday week 24-25 season. Join us.
Put on your podcast.